paid money for that? Come on, Willie, let's go. Come on, Willie, let's go. Come on, Willie. Well, the shop is about as done as far as organization. The shop is about as done as it's going to get for a little while. There's still a little bit of stuff that we need to go through and get organized. But we had some friends over last night to celebrate Independence Day. And we had a nasty storm come in and put some rain down, but it was, the shop was perfect. And like I said, now I just need to finish getting the upstairs done, getting the bedrooms finished. I'm sure happy to have all that cleaned up and taken care of. Huh, Willie? We're sure happy to have that all taken care of. Huh? You good boy, Willie. You good. Thank you to Birch Gold Group for sponsoring today's video. And every time I do an ad for Birch Gold Group, I find myself recognizing how important the services that they offer are. Central banks in countries like China, India, and Australia have already started the process of converting over to a digital currency. And the Federal Reserve, as we speak, is in the middle of trying to do the same thing. With a digital currency, officials could even prevent you from purchasing certain products, or even easily freeze or seize part or all of your money.
These are some of the reasons why concerned Americans reach out to Birch Gold Group. They want to have a physical asset that's independent from the US dollar.
Gold-held, tax-sheltered retirement account.
Learn if gold is right for you. Visit birchgold.com/redpoppyranch and they will send you a free info kit on gold. With A+ ratings with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers, Birch Gold has been helping people like you since the very beginning. Visit birchgold.com/redpoppyranch to claim your free info kit on gold.
Because if a central bank digital currency becomes a reality, it'll be nice to have some gold to depend on. Well, this project is a long time in the making, but after replacing all of the necessary fittings and gauges, the Bobtail propane tank is ready to be set in place and filled with propane. All of these fittings, pipe, and gauges that I used have to withstand at least 300 psi, but these fittings will handle 600 psi. I will later remove the check valve that I installed right here on the fill side of the tank. These top two are vapor. This bottom outlet is liquid. This vapor is going to be used to fill. So when I have the tank filled up after it's put in place, he will fill it up right here with this Acme valve. This is ready to go. This gauge is a temperature gauge. That gauge was in good enough condition that I'm just going to reuse it. The PSI gauge was old enough that I ordered a new one. It's not here yet. This is a forged plug, so that's rated to 650 PSI. All of these fittings right here, by the way, are rated to 650 PSI. The standard pressure in the propane tanks no more than 250 PSI. I went ahead and ordered a new spit valve as well, and I just decided down here on the liquid port that I'm going to reduce this like I did up here down to 3/4, and this is where I'm going to plumb that hose so I can refill any small bulbs that we ever need to refill. And then from up here is where I will build a manifold, go underground, and then run the new service to tie into the existing house. And then I also have to run a service over to the shop. What I've decided to do is, rather than doing 1 3/4 inch polyethylene line underground and then putting a T underground to feed the shop, I'm going to home run them from this point. So I'm going to do 2 full runs, 1 run to the house, 1 run to the shop. That way I can isolate them right here. I'll put shutoff valves right here. I have to put a regulator first and then shutoff valves. I'll basically have a manifold to where I can control where the propane goes. And then I have parts showing up on Friday. So when those parts show up, I'll go ahead and get that changed out, and then it's ready to be pressure tested after that. So I did ask her to order a bigger face on the gauge so I could actually see what's going on. But so once I get this changed out, I'm going to fill it up to probably 100 PSI. The only place that I'm really most concerned about it leaking is that flange underneath. Once I know that's good, everything else up here, if I have a little bubble or something, I could tighten it, which there's no way I'm going to have a leak. I tightened the heck out of everything, but I really want to pressure test this to 250 PSI before I hook it up, but that takes a special compressor, so I have to figure out how that's going to happen. I need to move the Bobtail propane tank a little closer to the house where I can pressure wash it off, paint it, and then see if I can fill it up with some air with my compressor. We really only have a few things that need propane, starting with our kitchen stove, our water heater, our dryer, and probably the most important, the Cummins backup generator. I'm going to install a heater in the shop that will use propane, but that's about it. I don't anticipate adding anything to the system that will use more propane. But what I hope to do is have a whole lot of propane for the few things that we actually need it for. Because most of those things we use every single day. I really wish that we didn't have to rely on propane, because in our situation, if we had to live without it, we probably could. But a couple of months out of the year wouldn't be fun. But I will say one of the best parts about propane, that if it's stored properly, you can store it indefinitely. And that's the idea behind having a 2,500 gallon propane tank. It buys me time. So this is where the Bobtail propane tank will sit once the dirt has been moved and the big heavy concrete blocks have been set in place. In the last few weeks since the new to me Bobcat 435 excavator showed up, I've had the chance to probably put close to a dozen hours on the machine. And by the end of this video, you will see that having a little bigger machine might have been nice with those concrete blocks. But the way I can move around with this excavator and get in the trees was what I hoped I would be able to do. I can basically put this excavator anywhere I can get the tracks, and I can swing it completely around without having to worry about rubbing it against anything. As I've spent a few hours in the machine getting used to it, I thought I may have had a fuel pump problem, but it turns out you just need to put some diesel in it once in a while and it runs great. Okay, it looks like we are ready for the first two concrete blocks. I'm going to get those first two set in the morning and get them level and then build everything on top of that. The temperatures have been fairly mild so far this summer, and we get a beautiful afternoon thunderstorm that keeps the dust down, but I can see in the distant future some pretty warm temperatures, and I hope to have this done before it gets too hot. It is time to start stacking these big old blocks. The blocks weigh 3,500 pounds a piece. I'm gonna have to go probably 3 or 4 high. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to lift them up that high with the excavator from down here. I may have to get up on the hill to lift them. But my goal for today is to at least get the bottom course all laid out, leveled, and then I can just start stacking from there, and it should go pretty fast. I've been thinking about setting this first block for a while now, and the excavator seems to be able to lift it okay. I personally don't care for these concrete blocks because to me, it looks like something off of a commercial job site that's going to be there temporarily. Plus it represents a whole lot of concrete. So once the concrete blocks are set in place, I'll do my best to disguise it and make it look like it belongs. I'll likely stack some rocks around the blocks to disguise them a little bit. These blocks are heavy, and I can see that stacking them 4 courses high with my excavator is going to be a challenge. Okay, I got the first one set just to kind of see how I was going to overlap it. Now, really, I just need to drag a bunch over here. I'm going to try and use the skid steer and literally just drag them instead of trying to carry them with the excavator because it takes so long with the excavator. With the skid steer, I may be able to drag them faster. So I'm going to try that a couple times and then keep setting blocks up. All of these concrete blocks came my way because my friend bought them and did not get the chance to use them in this life. So after he passed away, I bought them from his wife. And I've been thinking about how best to use them since I first got them. And I always had an idea like this in mind even before I had the Bobtail propane tank. So 30 of these concrete blocks weighs just a little bit over 100,000 pounds. And I have now moved each one of these blocks 3 miles apiece. Over 8 years ago, I first met my friend Doug, who I would later get these concrete blocks from. And I watched him build one of the most beautiful little farms that I'd ever seen. I watched him put every piece and part into that farm that was important. I watched him build the big stalls for his beautiful draft horses that he loved to work with so much. And I watched him sell those same horses just a few weeks before he would pass away. So in honor of my friend Doug, this is what I'm building out of the concrete blocks. Because he didn't get a chance to use them, I think he would approve of it. They're big enough and heavy enough that I won't have to worry about that dirt coming in around the bobtail tanks and the diesel tanks that I intend on setting here. If I was going to go rent a piece of equipment to move these blocks around, it would not be this excavator. It would be something big enough that could handle it without any concerns, because these blocks can be a little bit dangerous, especially if you're working by yourself. I found that the higher I went, the skid steer seemed to be the better piece of equipment to use, but I had to remove the bucket to get the weight to balance correctly. On next week's video, you'll see the conclusion of stacking the concrete blocks, as well as getting the propane tank set in place. Thank you guys for watching. Be safe out there. That was my biggest concern. That chain is rated at 10,000 pounds. Those are 3,500 pound blocks, but this was swinging off of this link and it's hot right now. And I think it started to bend the link a little bit and broke it, but it managed to break it when it was about a foot off the ground as opposed to 6 feet in the air. But I think that's a sign for me to shut it down for tonight. And I will get out here in the morning, get those last two set, and see if I can't get the Bobtail propane tank set.